I have this antique suitcase here, and I have no clue why it is yellow. I've had it for a while, so I must have had another project in mind. But today I am covering it with Wise Owl white primer, just to make sure that what I'm about to do to it adheres. And then whatever I got on the lock, I just use baby wipes to remove. I still have the key and the lock still works, so I want to make sure that I don't affect that. And then I'm taking Snow Owl by Wise Owl and covering the entire suitcase. This only took one coat due to the primer. So today I'm working with Farmhouse Project Blocks. It's the recycled tissue paper, and you can find this at chalkitupfancy.com along with other images. And I'm starting by cutting out the different sections of this paper. The pinstripe and the two farm animals on either end with the grain sack stripe. And that's what I'm going to be using today. The fertilizer one I'm going to put aside for another project. So I'm going to start with the top of the suitcase. And I'm using 1 hour enamel and a Gen foam brush. And I'm taking this opportunity, not only am I going to use it as a glue, but I'm also giving my paint a top coat. And you want to make sure you're using enough because the chalk paint wants to really suck this up, and you want to make sure you have enough glue. And once you lay your paper down, you want to make sure you get all the edges. And you want to make sure your paper makes contact with the glue, which is the 1 hour enamel clear. Our varnish works fine with this project as well, if that's what you have on hand. And now I am taking some Klingon and putting it over my wet image. And this is where I'm using my brayer and my fingers to make sure the paper makes contact with every portion of this suitcase. And it does start to remove some of the wrinkles. It's important that your tissue makes contact with every area so you don't have any bubbling. And now I'm putting my final coat on. Now I feel like the camera angle, you can kind of see that the paper starts to wrinkle. This is to be expected and not to worry. If you know you used, I use a brayer, that's not a necessary tool. If you know that you've made contact with your project, at this point, you're going to walk away and the wrinkles will dissipate as the paper shrinks and dries. Now, just for teaching purposes, I'm going to show you the other side. I'm basically doing the same exact thing, using the 1 hour enamel clear, laying the paper down. I do my paper in 2 sections, top, then bottom, using the saran wrap. Without the saran wrap, you may get tearing of the wet paper. That's why I use it. It's kind of like a barrier. And then the brayer. And then the 1 hour enamel. Now the suitcase looked really cute the way it was, but I wanted to use these pinstripes. So I'm just doing it on the top portion of the suitcase. And the stripes were long enough to do half of it on one side and half of it on the other. And I am covering the lock with the tissue paper. It's easier for me to just cover it and then sand it off after it dries versus, or you can always cut it out. I just tend to not have a good eye with cutting things out like that. So again, I did the 1 hour enamel, put the paper down, saran wrap, the brayer. And before I did my top coat, I decided to cut off the excess tissue paper with a pair of scissors. And now I'm doing my final top coat of the 1 hour enamel clear. And now I'm moving to the other side, but I'm not going to show that entire thing as I'm just repeating. Once everything dried, I took a piece of sandpaper and sanded off that little bit of tissue that was covering the top of the lock. And now I'm taking my gilding wax. This one's from Redesigned by Prima. It's called Eternal. It's the best out there, and I'm going to be completely honest, it is always sold out. I can never get my hands on this. So if you get an opportunity to get some, it does last for quite some time. And then I just dragged a little bit around the portion of the handle, the leather strap that holds the handle down. And once you put this on, you want to wait a day or two and it'll be completely dry and not remove. Now my handle on this suitcase, it was starting to break down. Even while I was doing this, it was crumbling in some places because it is leather and probably very old. So I decided to wrap the handle with some jute, something that I can remove down the road if I wanted to, but just to protect the handle from falling apart at this point. So this was time consuming, but I'm glad I did. I thought it looked cute. So I just wrapped the jute along the handle and then just tied it at the end. I still had the key to this suitcase, so I just tied it there. I like to show that kind of stuff off. And I have this pinstripe ribbon, and I just folded it over 4 times, just laid it flat 4 times. And then I just made little inserts because it was very thick and used some jute to tie in the center. And then you just pull the loops out. It's a way to get a cute little bow. And then with the excess jute, I tied it to the corner of the handle. Sorry, you can't see that great. I tied it to the corner of the handle. And then I just cut the edges on my ribbon. I really hope you enjoyed this video. For other tutorials, go check us out on YouTube. You can now see all our videos at chalkitupfancy.com. And for any paint products, brushes, tissue paper, or transfers, chalkitupfancy.com. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.